Hello, everyone. This is Solace Show, in case you were trying to watch something else. No. You've got the right channel. I am Dr. Robin Donaldson, a clinical psychologist, yoga instructor, host du jour for Solace Show. We talk here about important topics like death, grief, and dying. We are sponsored by Solace Club, of which I am a co-founder, providing care packages for people in grief. So instead of sending flowers, you can send them something that they can actually use and that will help them with coping. Today, I have Glenn Alex.
Hello.
Very excited to have her on the show. Finally, it's been a little challenging to schedule and to make it happen. So I want to just dive on in. I know I want to talk about your book. I know that you're not just an author, you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're all these things. So welcome on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
It's all worth it, worth the wait.
Yay! I'm glad to hear that. That makes me feel better and less guilty. So.
Oh, no guilt.
No guilt.
No guilt.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if you don't mind, what made you decide to write Living in Health? Tell us that.
Well, Living in Total Health came at the end of my grief process.
Okay.
It came at near the end of the bad part, the painful part of the grief process. I'm still grieving, actually.
Of course, we all are. Yes, thank you. Yeah,
I'm telling you, there are moments when I am so okay, and then I watched a little bit of Aretha Franklin's funeral, and I was okay until her nephew got up there and said, "How do you say goodbye to someone you love so much?" Almost lost it. Had to go to work, turn off the TV, walked out of the house.
Gonna watch that later.
Yes, for the most part, I'm okay though. So Living in Total Health came near the end of the painful part of my grief process. I was presented with the opportunity. I met author Patrick Snow, and he presented me with an opportunity to coach me through my book. I've always wanted to write a book. I just never had the patience to do it, and so I knew I needed a guide. And when he said, "Do you want to?" I said. Part of me, my initial response was, why? Why do it? And then my healthier self said, why not? I have nothing to lose at that point, people. Nothing.
Right. So. And it sounds like this was a creation that came out of death, and I mean that's beautiful. Not saying that there has to be, not saying that is the goal or the focus, but I love the idea that you were able to take a time in your life and to produce something
loving, something powerful. I think that's the beauty of death. Honestly, I think we are all going to die. We're all going to experience people we love who do die before we do. However, there is a transformation. There is the ability to transcend the pain and the sorrow and missing that person, and to make something beautiful out of it. So I always look for that when things are not going well.
It's a good reminder. Hey, I've been
great
through
reminder.
This, that, or the other.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did grief impact you through the writing of this book and through life in general, to help you in your creative process?
Throughout life, or early on when I was a kid, I was afraid of death. I didn't understand it. No one explained it to me. Don't tell kids that they've gone to sleep or they're gone away for a long vacation. Oh my gosh, no. Explain to the child what death means.
Yes,
so I was afraid of it until my adulthood. And then I gave birth to stillborn twin girls. And the experience of carrying those babies for 6 months, it was too beautiful to be afraid of. Yeah. And that's when I realized that there is beauty in death. Is the experience that I had with those girls while they were in my womb was unbelievably beautiful. Yeah. And so I stopped being so afraid of it. I'm still a little skittish, but I stopped being so afraid of it. So I try to use grief after I process the most painful parts of it to propel me and to do something better, something more, something inspiring. And so in reaching Living in Total Health, it was a year after my brother had passed in my arms, and so I just used his memory throughout the writing process.
I love that. I love that you were able to do that, because that's not super easy. None of this is easy. And so I'm curious because, again, you've got this book and it's intended to help other folks, and not necessarily for folks in grief. But considering the material that's in this book, as well as your own experience with grief, what would you tell people? How would you tell people to live in total health while they are grieving? Because I think that my thought is that's very challenging. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that you have to practice self-care even more through the process. If you're not eating, or you're not sleeping, or you're running yourself ragged so you don't have to think about it, then your body will break down on you, and you are less able to honor their memory. You're less able to process the pain, and you're not able to reach what I think is the purpose of grief, is to find that special place in your heart for the person who has died. So you're not able to do that if you're not taking care of yourself. So you might need to take more vitamins. You may need to eat more vegetables if that's your diet. If you may need to consume more protein just to keep, the nutritional levels up, because the pain of grief, active grief, will drain you.
Sure, absolutely.
So you have to stay attuned to your needs and stay connected to the people who support you.
Yes, that is one of my soapboxes. Is we need the community around us. We
Absolutely.
need the support, and I love that idea that you, like with the total health, you need the structure. You need that foundation if you're going to do grief work. Like a lot of folks will talk about it as processing grief as being grief work, and when your structure, your foundation is wobbly, you're not going to get through all the stuff that needs to be processed and dealt with at the same rate or as well, and sometimes it can linger.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
We need a foundation, and not just in grief, but for just resilience in general.
Sure.
We have a lot of setbacks in life that having the foundation can support us through.
Absolutely. Well, I always remind folks that even though our show and a lot of things that I talk about has to do with grief for people that have died, any change in life involves some type of loss.
Yes.
and so we are grieving, even when we are super happy, we are grieving something. And so having the skills to deal with and to process those losses are paramount. And that's where, reading Living in Total Health and having those tips and building that resilience can be so powerful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And it was my purpose in writing Living in Total Health is to give people coping skills and techniques.
Sure.
To navigate life, because life is not one smooth road.
No.
It's not going, you're going to get curves and bumps along the way. So if you have a foundation of good, solid coping skills, then you can manage anything. And then if you find that the foundation cracks here or there, then go see a therapist. And learn new skills. It's not about being crazy. It's about developing and building skills.
I know. People will say the word crazy to me. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense in my world. It's like a flavor of what? That's what you're telling me. But true. That's definitely a piece. I think that while, and of course, dealing with the therapist piece, grief involves so many emotions.
At the same time.
Exactly, and they don't make sense, and you think that you've lost your mind, or that you have gone crazy, because often you're dealing with anything that you may have dealt with in your past emotionally. It's like nothing compares to this cluster of emotions right here, and it's all at once. And I know that in your book you talk about emotional management.
Yes.
Oh gosh, any thoughts or any words of advice, comments about how to do some of that emotion management while you're in grief? Or is that even something to be thinking about when you're grieving?
I think you have to have some awareness, because some active grieving is not appropriate in some situations. You don't want to be bawling while you're driving 80 miles an hour on the freeway.
It's a little unsafe. Yeah, you might want to pull over. It's the thing. I've been there. I
pull
got
over.
It.
Yes. If you feel it coming on, pull over. There's nothing wrong with that. Get off the nearest exit, find a quiet, safe parking lot, and then go for it.
Yeah.
And find some quiet time, whether you actively grieve or work out or whatever, but just create a space of time and a physical space where you can just be and experience whatever comes up. just make sure you're safe, and if you have kids or family, then make sure they're taken care of too. But find that space for you where you can just experience.
Yeah. I think that is so important because we don't often give ourselves permission.
No, we don't.
And like you mentioned, kids, you throw in a job, bills have to be paid,
Yes.
All of these
Errands,
obligations
yes.
that were before the death, you still have them.
Yes.
And it's easy to use those as distractions and not take the time to take care of you, because it can be easier to try to avoid the grief or to push it under the rug,
Yes.
but that doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't. Distractions and excuses are short term.
Yes.
And reality will grab you. And I actually don't like it when reality grabs me. It is not fun.
Well, when we've been avoiding it and saying, no, okay, reality gets to
like,
just stay over there.
I'm here.
Oh, wait. Oh, man.
Exactly.
I knew I was trying to not see this in the background. Oh, but it's still there. Oh, yes.
Well, and let me throw in too.
Yes.
It's really important to have strategies as you're going through grief, and the grief cards are awesome.
Oh, thank you.
I wish more people. We need to get this out to more people. Just forget the wish part. We are going to get this out to more people, because some of the tips in here, it's okay to not be inspired or feel like doing anything. It's okay if you want to sleep in. Those are reminders that society just misses. And we need those, and we need those reinforcements to help us cope and manage. So please, get these cards.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Plugging the Solace Club grief cards.
I'm not plugging anything. I'm just telling you how beneficial they are, because I went through them. And had I had them 5 years ago, 10 years ago when my mom passed, I might not have been so traumatized.
Well, and I think that is part of the process, and even talking about the grief that you've been through, is that we recognize these deficits and these areas that either because of what we learned about grief and loss growing up, coping growing up, and just the nature of our day-to-day trying to get through, we take note and we say, okay, this was helpful, this wasn't, this nobody knows about. This really everybody needs to know about, and so you've created this book. I've created the grief cards and the Solace Club and the boxes, and it's all a part of trying to make things better for other people.
Absolutely, and to give them opportunities to seek a higher level of health and understanding and management.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And anything about, I know we've been really focused about emotional well-being. Anything about, because I know that you talk about physical health and well-being in there too. Anything related to grief and that you would really encourage folks to do as part of living in total health while grieving? Sounds like another book, doesn't it? A collaboration may be needed.
Note to self. I would say, other than just the basic nutritional levels, the vitamins, I think sleep is super important.
Absolutely.
Sleep is probably, if I have to say one thing, is the most important. Your sleep will be disrupted. You'll have trouble falling asleep, staying asleep. You might wake up too soon. You might oversleep. However, if it's not restful, then you deprive your body the opportunity to heal itself. So I would recommend that you structure your sleep. You
sounds great.
Try to go to bed at the same time. You turn off all stimulation, means the phone, the TV, the radio. Turn that off and allow your body to settle and to rest. And if you normally sleep 8 hours, but during the grieving process you only get 4 or 5, then it's okay. Take a power nap the next day. There's a study that says that adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. It doesn't have to be in a night. So if you can catch up the next day with a power nap, then that helps you keep up too.
Yeah.
So I would say structure your sleep and eliminate any caffeine after in the afternoon and evening. That will help you sleep as well, and that includes coffee and soda.
And chocolate.
And chocolate and some teas.
That's true.
And
That's
some
true. Yeah,
teas.
the very, very strong black
Yes.
teas that are out there. And I love those recommendations. I know that for myself, nighttime was very challenging. That was because everything was settled, folks were gone, and it was just me in our same bedroom, and I wanted the distractions.
Yeah.
I wanted to look, and we won't go into my sleep hygiene now because that could definitely require some assistance. But I know that when I was actively grieving, I would read. That seemed to help, and I would read. There's a book that has like little sayings after your loved one has died, and so I would read that and think about that and journal, and that was part of my ritual to help me sleep. And that's what I found too. It was a little bit of a distraction, but it my brain shut off.
And then I wouldn't call it a distraction.
Okay.
I would call it a healthy practice to help you soothe.
Oh, I like that.
It didn't give
That
you
sounds
energy.
better.
It didn't get you jittery. It didn't
Right.
distress you. So
That's a
that's
good
actually
point.
a very good practice. And journaling is very good to
Yes.
get emotional anxiety stuff out. I would also add that if sleeping in a particular area is discomforting and too distressful, I slept on the couch a lot. A lot.
Oh, yeah. And the first 3 weeks I
Yeah.
was on the couch.
Yes, and I had every light on in the house. Like 2 months.
No wonder you couldn't sleep.
Well, I could sleep in the dark because I could,
Oh, yeah.
So
Gotcha.
that's the part from childhood, being afraid of death. It was dealing with it when it was
Okay.
dark. So I had every light on in the house for 2 months until I could manage it, and then I could work my way up to the room where.
You know what? And this is like something we've got to look into at some point in the future. I remember when I made it back to the bedroom, I slept on the other side
Okay.
to make it different.
Okay.
But I left the light on so that I wouldn't feel so alone.
Okay.
So there's something.
There's something there.
to
There's
light.
something
we'll,
there.
We'll have to see if there are any studies or something on that. So.
We definitely do.
Well, I know that we are getting towards the end of time, and I
Yes.
wanted to thank you very much for being on the Solace Show.
You're welcome.
If folks want to get to buy your book, access to you and all the fabulous things that you are doing, how would they do that? How would they go about to contact you?
Well, if you want to purchase, and you should want to purchase Living in Total
course.
Health, it's available on Amazon. It's also available on my website, livingintotalhealth.com. And if you order from my website, it will be signed before it ships.
Oh.
It's available in hardcover and ebook. And the website address is livingintotalhealth.com. You can email me, Glenn, at livingintotalhealth.com, or pop me a text, 702-807-7349.
Excellent. And you also have a show.
I do. It's the Glenn Alex Show, and it airs the third Thursday of every month. So it'll be on the 20th. Nice plug. Thank you.
Of course. You can't forget that stuff.
I do forget that stuff.
Well, I'm glad that I'm here to remind
Thank you.
then. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening today. Look forward to the next time that you're able to sit and watch Solace Show. And always remember, whether you're dealing with active grief or prolonged grief, or you're grieving something from decades ago, always remember you don't have to journey alone. Thank you so much.